everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing my January book haul. Normally I don't do separate videos for book hauls, I include them in my wrap-up, but I got slightly more than normal books. Bookoutlet.com was having a pretty big sale on their books in December, but the books didn't actually get to me until January, so there are more than usual books than I would usually haul per month. Also, if you guys saw my New Year's resolutions video, one of my resolutions was to buy less books than I read, and obviously there's going to be a lot of books here, and the majority of the books that I'm showing here were included in my 2014 resolution, so I already accounted for these when I was counting my unread books number. In reality, I only bought one book this month, which, you know, is pretty good, but that's also because I have quite a pile here already. So the one book that I actually bought this month was The Impossible Knife of Memory by Laurie Halse Anderson. If you have been watching my channel this month, you have seen me putting up videos about this for the Reblog Book Club. I will have a link to the book club and the playlist with my videos if you guys are interested in watching those. And I've already finished this book, and I can tell you guys that this was just so good. If you like Laurie Halse Anderson speak, you will definitely like this. It deals with a war veteran who is suffering from PTSD and his daughter Haley, who is sort of having to deal with that situation as well as just deal with, you know, high school ridiculousness, and there's just a lot going on in this story, but it was so good. It is just not your typical YA contemporary book. This next book, or books I suppose, are ones that I got for Christmas, but we had our Christmas party with my friends after the New Year, so I didn't get them until this month, which is just fine. But what I got was Boxers and Saints, the graphic novel series by Gene Luen Yang. I have American Born Chinese, which is his first graphic novel, I believe, but I haven't read it yet. And I'm super excited to get this set because this was on a lot of people's best books of 2013 lists, and this was listed not even just as like in the best graphic novel section, but as like some of the best books of the year. So I'm really excited to read this book. It covers the Boxer Rebellion in China, and it shows both sides of the story, the Boxer side and the Saint side, obviously. So I'm really excited to read this. I know that Brooke Lee recently did a review on this graphic novel series, and she really just completely raved about it, so I'll have a link to her review in case you guys are interested in a review of these. And then finally, all of the following books are going to be books that I bought from Book Outlet, which is a really great website if you want to find pretty cheap books. First up is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, which I've heard nothing but really good things about, and this was a book that I have been sort of waiting to pick up, and I'm really excited that this edition was hardcover. I didn't realize I was buying a hardcover edition. I thought I was getting paperback, but I'm perfectly happy to have the hardcover. This is supposed to be contemporary fiction, but I don't really know much more than that. Next is Ghana Must Go by Taye Selassie. This book takes place in modern-day Ghana, and I believe there's some sort of tragedy that happens to this family, and they are forced to travel away from their country. I don't know much more than that. I've heard kind of mixed things about this book, so I'm kind of excited to read this one just so I can have my own opinion. I know a couple people that really loved it, and I know a couple people that really didn't care for it, so it'll be interesting to pick this one up. And then next is a book that is pretty popular to be hauled on BookTube, and that is The Diviners by Libba Bray. This book, in case you don't know, takes place in the 1920s, and I know it has something to do with witches, I believe. I don't know much more than that. It's a pretty big book, and I always wanted to read this book, and I've heard pretty good things about it. Next is Crooked Letter by Tom Franklin. I don't know a lot about this book, but again, it's one I've heard a lot of really good things about. I believe it follows two friends. One is a white boy and then the other is a black boy, and then something happens and then they sort of drift apart and then they sort of reunite later on in life, and it's just about their friendship and their relationship, and I believe about like race relations and things like that. So those are all things that I'm very much interested in. Next is Everything Beautiful Began After by Simon Van Bowie. I don't know how to say his last name, but I've heard a lot of people raving about this author, like bloggers and people in like literary type worlds, and so I've been really wanting to read something by him. So as soon as I saw that this book was up on Book Outlet, that was like one of the first ones I added to my cart. Next is Such a Rush by Jennifer Eccles. I believe this is contemporary YA, and it follows a girl who lives in like a lower class trailer park type situation. I don't really know much more than that, but I like contemporary YA, and if it deals with class situations, then I will probably like this book as well. Next is Wanderlove by Kristen Hubbard. This is another contemporary YA book. I believe this one is about a girl who travels to South America somewhere, I want to say. I believe that Ariel Bissett did a review on this book and she completely raved about it, and that's why I originally had it on my radar. Next is We the Animals by Justin Torres. I've heard really, really good things about this book, but I know nothing about this book, but I've heard that it's super, super good. It's a really thin book and I'm really excited to read it. This might be one of the books that I read sooner rather than later. I believe that Literary Disco did an episode on this book and I think that's why I had it on my radar. I'm really good at listening to their podcasts and then not remembering any of the specific details about the book, so that way when I read it for myself it's never ruined for me. I have really bad short-term memory that works in my favor in that way. But I'm really excited to read this one. I'll link to the episode down below. And then finally is Claire DeWitt and the City of the Dead by Sarah Gran. This is a mystery novel that I've been hearing a lot of things about recently because I think there was another book in the series that came out either this year or last year. And so this is the first book in the series. And so I was really interested in the series when I was hearing the buzz about the new book. And so I've been searching for this book, but it seems to be not sold in any of the bookstores near me. So again, it was one of those situations where I saw this book and I immediately added it to my cart knowing I was going to buy it. So yeah, those are all of the books for my January book haul. If you have read any of these books, feel free to leave your comments down below letting me know if you liked them or didn't like them, or if there are any of these books that you would rather me read them sooner rather than later. Feel free to leave those comments down below as well, because sometimes that does dictate the order in which I read my books. So yeah, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching.